888-971-SAGE, 888-971-7243. NBC is reporting that Chief of Staff Ray Kelly has on repeated occasions in private meetings referred to the president as an idiot, and they're reporting that Kelly feels that but for Kelly, the country would be facing disaster. The caravan is here. What will happen to the unaccompanied minors who are going to apply for asylum alleging that they have a reasonable fear of persecution? But first, did anybody happen to watch the White House Correspondents' Dinner? Of course not. I think they were airing it on C-SPAN. This is the second consecutive year that Trump has not gone. Now, I've never heard of this comedian, Michelle Wolf. Presumably she's no relationship to Michael Wolff, the one that wrote the anti-Trump book. But I'm watching CNN, Brian Seltzer. He is her media critic, and he's defending her performance. And he said, and I'm quoting, "Comedians are supposed to make you feel uncomfortable. Comedians are supposed to make you think." End of quote. Funny. I thought comedians were supposed to be, I don't know, I'm looking for the word. I found the word funny. Now, Donald Trump makes fun of Rosie O'Donnell's looks, and that's sexist. This woman makes fun of Kelly Ann Conway's looks, makes fun of Sarah Sanders' looks, and that's wit. That's satire. Former White House Correspondents Association head Ed Henry said this about it.
Like that. She was not only nasty, but she was dropping F-bombs on live television carried by CNN and MSNBC. What's your take as someone who's gone through this process?
Even worse, she was joking about abortion. I won't even repeat the jokes. They were so vile. Bottom line is, I understand Margaret Tlaib as president. I respect her. It's a tough job. You're up there. You pick the comedian. And there is a First Amendment in this country, whether you like it or not. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they're going to say, First Amendment protects stupid and vile things as well. However, I think it's long past time, here we are, hours later, for the association to put out a simple one-sentence statement, say, we do not agree with this. These personal, vile attacks on Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who is a good person. Dare I say that if Hillary Clinton had been elected and Jennifer Palmieri were up there and got all these personal attacks about your appearance, and I won't even add and dignify.
I don't even want to play
it. It's ridiculous.
I don't even want to play it.
And so the association should apologize. Period. Stop.
Okay, I agree with you on that. You know who else agrees with you is Andrea Mitchell, who just tweeted apologies owed to Press Sec, Sarah Sanders, and others.
We invited her in.
Grossly insulted by Michelle Wolf. Comedian was the worst since Imus insulted Clinton.
We invited her to dinner. We should have treated her with respect. I don't need to say anything beyond that.
Right,
Treat her
and
with
it casts
respect.
a stain on the whole event. I mean, whatever nice things
They were talking about the First Amendment and valuable things. By the way, and I'm hearing this on social media, I am not letting the president off the hook. When he said the press is the enemy of the American people.
Okay, so that's Fox. Now here's ABC's John Carl.
There's a lot that was good at the dinner, celebration of the First Amendment, some journalism awards, scholarships. I think that the comedian crossed the line. And this went from poking fun to being mean-spirited. It was very uncomfortable. I think that Sarah Sanders handled herself very well, considering what was coming her way. And I think that most people in that room we're uncomfortable. We're uncomfortable with the direction of the jokes, no question at all. And certainly the only thing it will do is results probably in more goodwill for Sarah Sanders, because nobody should have to sit through that.
It'll also result in more goodwill for the president, because it confirms what the president has always thought all along, of course, and that is that much of the media despises this guy. You didn't look at her material before she performed? Remember when Obama performed at the White House Correspondents' Dinner and said this?
Next year at this time, someone else will be standing here in this very spot, and it's anyone's guess who she will be. But
the president of the White House Correspondents Association put out this letter. Quote, last night's program was meant to offer a unifying message about our common commitment to a vigorous and free press while honoring civility, great reporting, and scholarship winners, not to divide people. Unfortunately, the entertainer's monologue was not in the spirit of that mission. Now, I've never heard of this comedian. Her name, again, Michelle Wolf. And now you know why.
We should definitely talk about the women in the Trump administration. There's Kellyanne Conway. Man, she has the perfect last name for what she does. Conway. It's like if my name was Michelle Jokes, frizzy hair, small.
Really? Honestly.
You guys gotta stop putting Kellyanne on your shows. All she does is lie. If you don't give her a platform, she has nowhere to lie. It's like that old saying, if a tree falls in the woods, how do we get Kellyanne under that tree? I'm not suggesting she gets hurt, just stuck. Stuck under a tree. Incidentally, a tree falls...
I think this went on for almost 19 minutes. And people said they felt sorry for Kellyanne Conway. They felt sorry for Sarah Sanders having to endure it. I felt sorry for the comedian having to tell one unfunny anti-Trump joke after another to an audience that felt very uncomfortable about the unfunny anti-Trump jokes as much as they don't like Trump.
In the woods is Scott Pruitt's definition of
F-bombs, using a vulgar term for a woman's breasts. Really? I thought this was #MeToo.
We all have our kinks. There's also, of course, Ivanka.
And then the voice. Goodness.
She was supposed to be an advocate for women, but it turns out she's about as helpful to women as an empty box of She's done nothing to satisfy women. So I guess, like father, like daughter.
I think you get the point. Rob Schneider, we were talking about this last week, a Saturday Night Live alum, was talking about the current cast and writing of Saturday Night Live. And he said Dana Carvey, when he did his impression of George Herbert Walker Bush, you knew that he had empathy for his character. But you know when Baldwin does his Donald Trump, he despises Donald Trump. He hates him, said Rob Schneider. And as a result, it's not funny. Brian Seltzer says, a comedian is supposed to make you think. I thought a comedian was supposed to make you laugh. My bad. 888-971-SAGE, 888-971-7243. Prime Minister Netanyahu says the Iran nuclear deal is based on lies. This is very important because, as you know, one of the goals of the president of France when he came here was to dissuade President Trump from opting out of the Iran deal. It's got to be recertified every 6 months to verify that nobody is cheating. And in the next few days, President Trump is faced with yet another decision on whether to certify the Iran deal. Most people believe that he will not certify. And even Macron came back and said he does not think so. And now there's a new bombshell speech given by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying that the current Iran deal is based on lies. He presented 55 pages of documents, said that Iran had what he called was an atomic archive of documents on its nuclear program. We're going to be talking about that later on as well. 888-971-SAGE, 888-971-7243. Lindsey Graham says that if President Trump won the Nobel Peace Prize, liberals would kill themselves. John Tester, senator from Montana, repeated a bunch of things about Ronnie Jackson, the admiral, President Trump's private doctor, that turned out not to be true. And Trump says he knows things about John Tester that if other people knew it, he would never get elected. He's running for re-election, John Tester. All that's coming up. 888-971-SAGE. This is Larry Elder coming to you from the ReliefFactor.com studio. Do not leave town.
All right, good evening. Good evening. You know, it's been a while since I talked to you. Let me tell you, it's been a good summer up there in the Bush family compound up there in Kennebunkport Bay, that whole area up there. Up in that speedboat going round and round doing loop-de-loops.
Oh, you don't think he's good at Come on. She does clean up nice, though. Ivanka cleans up nice. She's the diaper genie of the administration. On the outside, she looks sleek, but the inside, it's still full of
Let us know when we're supposed to laugh.
And of course, we have Sarah Huckabee Sanders. We are graced with Sarah's presence tonight. I have to say, I'm a little starstruck. I love you as Aunt Lydia on The Handmaid's Tale. Mike Pence, if you haven't seen it, you would love it.
888-971-SAGE, 888-971-7243. Now, Americans in every tax bracket got a tax cut thanks to the bill signed into law last year. The economy is growing. Americans are feeling better and better about their future. And you've got more money to spend on what's important to you, your priorities, your money, after all. The Dems in Congress who voted against the tax cuts are promising to raise your taxes if they win in November. They want your money back to spend on their priorities. Now, only you can stop them. To find out how much more money you'll be bringing home due to the tax cuts, go to taxcutswork.com right now. There's an easy-to-use calculator. It'll tell you how much money the new tax cuts are saving you this year and saving you next year. Check your savings at taxcutswork.com and then sign a letter to Congress letting them know they should keep their hands off your tax cut savings because the money you're saving is yours. Taxcutswork.com. Check your savings. Let Congress know you want to keep your savings. Taxcutswork.com. That's taxcutswork.com. The visit to the country by Emmanuel Macron was designed in part to convince the president to remain in the Iran deal.
And I think that's probably what his strategy is, because that's what his strategy always is. And I think that's what, now, whether it'll work or not, we're all going to get to watch and see. But I'll tell you this much. I never thought I'd live long enough to see Kim Jong-un and the president of South Korea hugging at the DMZ. Never thought I'd live long enough to see that, John.
I mean, Donna.
They were hugging. They were holding hands. They each stepped across the boundaries. Look, my dad served.
It was like Macron and Trump.
That's right.
You know.
This has been a long time in coming. The Korean Peninsula is a place that has been marked by not just a lot of violence, but a lot of tension.
Speaking of the Korean Peninsula, Lindsey Graham says if Trump won a Nobel Peace Prize, the liberals would kill themselves.
I want to be there. It may be the first time the Nobel Peace Prize was given and there was mass casualties, because I think a lot of liberals would kill themselves if they did that. But the bottom line is, by any objective measure, what President Trump has done is historic. He made a decision early on, Maria, and this was his most important decision about North Korea. He took containment off the table. He said to me and others early on, I'm not going to let them get a nuclear weapon that can hit America and contain the threat by threatening to blow North Korea off the map if they use it. He said to me real early in his presidency, I'm going to deny them the capability to hit America with a nuclear weapon. If they keep trying, I'll use military force as a last resort to stop them. So he chose denial. No other president has been that blunt, and that's why we are where we are, because China and North Korea believed that if Trump had to, he would use military force and North Korea would lose.
John Bolton, the new national security advisor.
Well, you say eager to do it as soon as possible. Is the U.S. side ready to sit down and talk?
We will be when we do sit down. I think it's something that the president has thought a good deal about already. And I think people around the world have already given him credit for establishing the preconditions for this to happen in the first place. President Moon of South Korea, for example, has been very clear that but for the pressure, the economic pressure, the politico-military pressure that President Trump has put on North Korea, we would not be where we are today.
Chaos in the White House. Donald Trump's incompetent. He's making it up as he goes along. This is videotape from 1999. Citizen Donald Trump, 1999.
You say that you, as president, would be willing to launch a preemptive strike against North Korea's nuclear capability.
First, I'd negotiate. I would negotiate like crazy, and I'd make sure that we tried to get the best deal possible. But look, Tim, if a man walks up to you in a street in Washington, because this doesn't happen, of course, in New York, but if a man walks up and puts a gun to your head and says, give me your money, Wouldn't you rather know where he's coming from before he had the gun in his hand? And these people in 3 or 4 years are going to be having nuclear weapons. They're going to have those weapons pointed all over the world and specifically at the United States. And wouldn't you be better off solving this really potentially unbelievable, and the biggest problem, I mean, we can talk about the economy, we can talk about Social Security. The biggest problem this world has is nuclear proliferation. And we have a country out there, North Korea, which is sort of wacko, which is not a bunch of dummies. And
if you're just now joining us, this is Donald Trump in 1999 talking about North Korea and what should happen.
They are going out and they are developing nuclear weapons. And they're not doing it because they're having fun doing it. They're doing it for a reason. And wouldn't it be good to sit down and really negotiate something, and ideally negotiate? Now, if that negotiation doesn't work, you better solve the problem now than solve it later, Tim. And you know it, and every politician knows it, and nobody wants to talk about it. Jimmy Carter, who I really like, and he went over there. It was so soft. These people are laughing at us.
The former general of the Air Force, Merrill McPeak, the former Secretary of Defense, Les Aspin, said you could not launch a preemptive strike against North Korea because the nuclear fallout could be devastating to the Asian Peninsula.
I'm not talking about us using nuclear weapons. I'm saying that they have areas where they're developing missiles.
No, but taking out their nuclear potential would create a fallout.
Tim, do you know that this country went out and gave them nuclear reactors, free fuel for 10 years? We virtually tried to bribe them into stopping, and they're continuing to do what they're doing, and they're laughing at us. They think we're a bunch of dummies. I'm saying that we have to do something to stop.
But if the military told you, Mr. Trump, we can't do this.
You give me 2 names. You're giving me 2 names. I don't know. Do you want to do it in 5 years when they have warheads all over the place, every one of them pointing to New York City, to Washington, and every one of our... Is that when you want to do it, or do you want to do something now? You better do it now.
That was Citizen Trump in 1999 talking about how to handle North Korea. And essentially he's doing exactly what he said he would do, what he said should have been done nearly 20 years ago. Now, of course, the Democrats are going to give President Trump credit for getting North Korea and South Korea to move towards ending their 68-year war and talking about denuclearization, correct? Well, not so fast. Representative Joaquin Castro, Democrat from Texas. Hard to say if President Trump deserves credit for this. It's difficult to...
the election.
Hard to say.
And let's turn to North Korea because you saw in Jeff Zelny's report, the president is taking a lot of credit for what happened over there. It is amazing to watch what's taken place over the last 24 hours, this historic meeting. Nobody can deny that. Does the president deserve any credit for bringing this meeting together, for making this happen?
That's a great question. First, those photos and the video are historic of the leaders of North Korea and South Korea shaking hands, speaking and crossing over back and forth between South and North. But the question of whether the president deserves credit is an interesting one.
Yeah, well, can you answer it?
If the answer to that is yes, then it's because of basically childish name-calling that he engaged in, Twitter rants that he engaged in, the threat of nuclear war. So if the president's going to take credit using those methods...
But does he deserve credit? I
don't know. It's hard to say.
Unbelievable. It's hard to say.
Call in now.
That was Michelle Wolf, the comedian that the White House Correspondents Association hired to do the monologue.
I actually really like Sarah. I think she's very resourceful. Like, she burns facts, and then she uses that ash to create a perfect smoky eye. Like, maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's lies. It's probably...
I guess that was supposed to be humor. Now, what's interesting about this woman? President's been hammered for nominating people without vetting them thoroughly. Did anybody vet her? According to the Daily Mail, in June of 2017, her Twitter account showed that she had over 20,000 tweets. She tweeted over 20,000 times. But now it's down to 376 because she's been deleting thousands of tweets in which she said things about Trump, made vulgar comments about other celebrities. In one tweet, she wrote, "I think Trump is mad at nature because it made Eric." Listen to this one. In another one, she wrote, "LeBron James was named Sports Illustrated Man of the Year. Sorry, Serena, so close." Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That's a twofer, racist and sexist. On and on and on, and nobody checked. Daily Mail writes, quote, although the White House Correspondents Association suggested it was caught off guard by Wolf's coarse jokes about the Trump administration, the comedian's Twitter feed shows years of animosity toward Donald Trump and praise for Hillary Clinton. Listen to this one. Being racist isn't good, but it sure does save all that time of getting to know people before you find out you don't like them. Here's another one. I can't believe Trump is pro-life. I'm pretty positive that Eric is an-abortion. If Serena Williams and Madonna had an arm wrestling match, no one would win. They'd both walk out with raging, and a colloquial expression for what happens to male anatomy when men get excited. My goodness. And they claim they had no idea she was going to say the things that she said and be the way she was. I had no idea. Now, I told you what Tester said about Admiral Ronnie Jackson. He also said this.
There are a number of allegations, and there's a lot of information I know that you're able to share with us, I think, for the first time. I understand there are three major allegations, and I kind of want to go through them one by one. First of all, the idea that the allegation that he improperly dispensed prescription drugs. Do you know what drugs were dispensed?
Yeah, I can't tell you exactly the name because I'm not a pharmacist, but these are drugs that are meant to put people to sleep and wake them back up. They're controlled substances. They're prescriptions. The word is that on overseas trips in particular, that Admiral would go down the aisleway of the airplane and say, all right, who wants to go to sleep, and hand out the prescription drugs like they were candy.
Excuse me. During the press conference when Ronnie Jackson was talking about the results of his physical of President Trump, he said that on flights he gives people Ambien because of the time change. He said that. Not like it was a secret.
Like an Ambien type.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And put them to sleep and then give them the drugs to wake them back up again.
The wake-up drugs you're talking about, I assume, is something like Provigil,
that's
which
correct.
is officially for narcolepsy. It works on dopamine.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's these are called controlled substances for a reason. We have...
So he would actually just go down the aisle and just sort of say,
that's correct.
Who wants to go to sleep, who wants to wake up?
That's the reports we got from the people, the 20-some people who got a hold of us and said, we've got a problem, this doctor has a problem, because he hands out prescriptions like candy. In fact, in the White House, they call him the candy man.
So I just want to be clear, Ambien is actually one of the drugs?
I can get you the,
okay.
It's a drug. It's a prescription drug, and I can get you the name.
Your staff had told us Ambien and Provigil.
Bingo. Okay. Those are the ones.
All right. And I understand he had a nickname in the White House among some of the White House staff.
And it was the candy man because he handed out prescription drugs like they were candy.
The White House doctor, his nickname among some people in the White House was the Candy Man.
That's correct. That's correct. That's what we were told.
That's not a nickname you want in a doctor.
That's not a nickname you want in a doctor. And if you consider the prescription drugs we have a problem with in this country right now, it's not the example we need to have set.
All right. Now, it turns out that many of the things that were just now said turned out to be completely unverified. Here's what Dan Bongino said. Dan Bongino, frequent guest on the show, formerly with the Secret Service. Here's what he said about John Tester.
And let me tell you something. This is one of the most disgusting, horrifying, putrid episodes of swamp character assassination I've ever seen in my life. Listen, Griff, let me tell you something right now. No one has asked me to defend Ronnie. I have not spoken to Ronnie about this. No one in the administration, no one. 0 people have contacted me and asked me to defend Ronnie. I do this and go on this show and have been on Twitter defending Ronnie and on my own show defending Ronnie because Ronnie is an honorable, noble American patriot who helped so many people during my time with him in the Secret Service. John Tester, the senator from Montana, who started this witch hunt into Ronnie Jackson, should be embarrassed. He's a conniving snake. He should resign from office for doing this. This was a good man. I watched him help so many people on the road selflessly over and over. He puts his name out there. Listen, go after him on his politics. That's fair game. Right. But making up lies about this guy, they're unbelievably disgusting.
We come back. The president says he knows things about John Tester that if other people knew about it, he would never be elected. And Joy Reid is denying that she put those hateful homophobic posts on Twitter. She was hacked. I'm Larry Elder.
Larry Elder.